welcome back to another episode of Touchline Talks. We've got an exciting episode here today. We've got a special guest in the building. He goes by Kels. Now got me into the world of soccer as a kid, just watching Arsenal, watching Real Madrid. And I don't know what happened. And from there, I kind of changed tracks and decided to go the United way. So, yeah, let's just get things started. So, Kels, so just tell us, how's things in Toronto? How's living in isolation? How are things going?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks guys for having me on. It's a pleasure. Things are okay being over here. Things are starting to lighten up a little bit. In Toronto, not officially, but on the streets, there's definitely a lot more people out there than there used to be. Lockdown is okay. Definitely cooking a lot more, so that's a positive. Hope everybody's being safe and isolating in their various places and really need everybody to become healthy again, and not in any particular order of importance, but looking forward to having soccer back on TV soon.
Yeah. I think we could definitely share that same opinion. Yeah, that's true, because a lot of people are spending a lot more time at the grocery stores because a lot more cooking is happening now. So, but obviously with the weather getting better, that's now becoming a lot harder to do in terms of staying at home. And so what have you been doing to just kind of keep up with soccer as a whole? Are you like Charles and I were talking?
Yeah, I've been doing, so I mentioned cooking. What I've been doing a lot more of is I'm taking a lot of walks. Like, I honestly feel like I'm living like it's like a preview of my retired life. I'm living right now, to be honest, because it's a lot of walks. It's a lot of like YouTube workout videos.
Yeah.
My fiance we're isolating together, so we're playing a lot of Crash Bandicoot. It's a racing game.
That's a classic right there.
So I'm not gonna tell you who is a better player, but I'm gonna leave that to the public. But like, it's definitely not me, ironically, but whatever. Like, and a lot of FIFA, obviously. But it's a lot of video games. It's funny because like at work they keep trying to like encourage us to take vacation days, and it's like why would I take vacation? My whole life is a vacation right now. Oh my God.
It's funny you mentioned that, because same with me at work. I was actually speaking of this Sunday, I was supposed to be leaving to Barcelona, and unfortunately that's not happening. So I was actually thinking, can I push my vacation week to a different time? But like you said, they're encouraging everyone to take vacations because of, you're very stressed, so
very stressed, and we didn't want to be screwed for the second half of the year.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's all about you guys. It's all about you guys.
Oh boy.
But so let's get into it, man. So are you a Real Madrid fan or are you an Arsenal fan? So
question. It's a good question. I'm glad I finally have the platform to address this. So basically I consider myself a fan of both. Now, if I had to, I'm probably a bigger Real Madrid fan than an Arsenal fan as of right now. Ironically though, my like for Real Madrid actually started from my dislike of Man United, which obviously that was a result of my love for Arsenal. So basically, the way everything happened was in the '98 season. I think that was your treble season was '98. It's class of '98. The '98 season.
99, yeah.
98, 99, so the '99 season. I was in Nigeria. I was in boarding school. We had a Nigerian playing on Arsenal, competing for the league that season, and for some reason the entire school was like team Beckham, like team class of '92, whatever you guys call those bunch of clowns.
Yeah.
Extremely
We
good
call
soccer
them
players.
treble winners.
Extremely
Yeah.
good side. This is all hate. So
Legends.
I will let you know. Like I speak from a hateful place sometimes, but I own up to it. So those guys, basically, Arsenal couldn't beat them. Nobody could beat them. And then I watched them play. So the 98-99 season, they obviously got the treble. The next season, they come back for the repeat. Nobody could touch these guys. They came up against Juve, smacked them. They've smacked Barca the year before. They're smacking everybody left, right, and center. And then lo and behold, this team, they come up against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. This is literally my first game watching Real Madrid play ever. And I just saw, like, they had Roberto Carlos, who was already a favorite of mine. They had Raul, who at the time was a favorite of mine. And then I saw, like, Redondo with this ridiculous flick in the back, and then the assist to Raul. And, like, right there, I was like,
Man,
okay,
the good old days. The
I
good
want the
old days.
team that can beat this Man U treble team. So that's how I liked Real Madrid. So I liked them in the periphery for a while until they signed Zidane. And then at that point, when they signed Zidane, I was like, it was a shift. It was a permanent shift of my heart, basically. But I still follow Arsenal. Still an Arsenal fan in England. My number one team is definitely Madrid now. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
controversial, man.
Yeah. It doesn't go down well in a lot of circles, especially Arsenal circles.
Yeah.
How did you guys become Man U fans?
Well, for me, initially I was a huge David Beckham fan. So that was when I became a Man U fan. And I think the first game I ever saw them play, oh God, I can't remember who they were playing against, but I remember Beckham scored a free kick, and from that moment on, it was like official.
That's
I don't know
fair.
who they were playing against, but yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I remember that conversation, and it makes sense even with your story as well, Charles. It's like it's so like Josh is a good example of the people who I was around who was like, okay, I know they're a better team, but Kanu is on Arsenal. Like,
And that was the good Kanu too. That was
that was the good
the
Kanu.
scoring from the corner flag kind of
Yeah,
Kanu. So
hat-trick against Chelsea, Kanu and whatnot. Like that's that guy. But it's like they were a difficult team. They were a difficult team to hate. Even honestly, it was a lot of work because nobody wants to hate the team that's like just winning, like the best team on the planet at the time, right? Which I
yeah,
will
it's kind
give
of like
them
your
that credit.
Barcelonas and your Liverpools.
Okay, yeah. So I had to face Man U as an Arsenal fan, and then I had to face your class of '92 Man U as an Arsenal fan, which drove me to Madrid. Then I go to Madrid, and then I have to face Messi's Barcelona with Pep. I'm like, this, I can't win. Like, I can't.
Hey, you could have won if you just supported United, man.
No, I can't just jump ship that aggressively. That's wild.
Oh, and
How are you
yeah.
guys liking the recent United? I guess it's not really a good time because everything's looking up. We should have had this conversation like 3 months ago. You know, that middle of December. That was the time.
Oh wow,
Middle of December.
that was not a good time. I think I spent more time throwing my shoe at the wall, not the
Honestly.
TV, but at the wall for sure.
Middle of December, my blood pressure skyrocketed. I'm telling you.
I can imagine, man. I can imagine. Now,
Actually, ever since Ole got the job permanently, my blood pressure is up here. You know.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to come back down a little.
What is the talk like in Spain as a Real Madrid supporter? Like, is there talks of Spain, La Liga continuing? Are they on the same camp as England, whereby, it's we want to continue, want to see the end of the league? Because you guys have a closer race with Barcelona.
yeah. So I would say we have a closer race between 1 and 2, but I'd say like the leagues who are not Ajax, but like Eres Vidal, the Dutch league, or the French league. Like everything was kind of set in stone, right? The Dutch league is basically the same top 4 this year as it was last year. So like Champions League, all that stuff is the same. The French league, it's I haven't looked at the table, but I'm sure it's like PSG, like Marseille, Lyon, and some random Lens maybe.
Yeah.
In Spain, like 1 and 2 is closer. There's just 1 point between us. But I think England, the number 1 is a little bit further, but you're 2, 3, and 4. Basically,
Yeah.
it's the Champions League spots that are in contention in Spain, right? The league itself, like basically, there's no talks about canceling the league. So today, all the players actually for Real Madrid, all the players actually returned to training.
Okay.
Now it's interesting because they're training with masks on and gloves. So it's like I don't know if it's just like an hour a day training or I'm not sure what is going on, but like they're running, but they have masks on. I don't know if it's a photo op or what. But
Yeah.
there's not been any talks about canceling the league. I think there would probably be riots if they try to cancel the league. I think probably going to lean towards the closed, just basically finishing it off without fans, or or there's been also certain conversations about having a certain like tournament style routine. So just for like the top 6 and the bottom 6, just to figure out like who makes the Champions League and who gets relegated, essentially, and I guess who wins the league. But no talks about not like the French stuff is not gonna. That will. I don't think that will. I'm not in Spain, but from following the league, I don't think that's gonna fly. We want to know who's gonna win the league. Like Madrid's not gonna just let Barcelona get a random championship because of Corona. Like that's not gonna.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't wait for Messi to retire. Yeah, they're saying. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's like in England, like you said, right? You're fighting for like 4 at this point in time of how close it is.
Well,
so
it also depends on what happens with Manchester City's financial fair play thing as well. Right. If that gets upheld, then they're screwed. I heard Kevin De Bruyne is already talking about leaving if it does. So.
Madrid. Sorry. Go on, guys.
I'd be happy for Madrid to take it.
Oh my God.
I'd be so happy.
I would be happy too. That was one of the first things I thought about when Manchester City, that whole thing happened was basically, oh man, this could be the dethrone of Manchester City. This could be the start.
Aguero, you need those two to leave. And Man City's done. Like those two leave, it's a wrap.
I'm okay with Sterling staying.
Yeah, Sterling can do whatever he wants to do. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
That's cool.
So, but yeah,
then you can actually like just put 2 men on him the whole game, and then like that's fine. Like,
well, United did is it the double or the triple this season? No, the double.
Yeah.
Oh, on City? Yeah, you guys been
in the league.
Sending them to school randomly. It was like out of nowhere. Like
it's all it's all with the exception of Liverpool, it's all the big games. And I think
and it's funny because
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it was the big games. Yeah.
All the big teams. You guys got Chelsea. We're not gonna call Arsenal a big team in the current moment because it's a little bit of a tempt whatever, it's just difficult right now. But yeah, you guys do the number, but nobody. I mean, Liverpool just had like they have a weird like they're not as good. This is my opinion, and I know I'm probably gonna get crucified for this, but they're not as good as people make them out to be, man. Like I don't know that this Liverpool team is better than your class of '92, like your treble winning team.
Or even the team of 2008 or 2007 that won.
Talking about the team that had like what Ronaldo,
Tevez, Rooney,
and then Tevez and who was the tall guy? The tall like nonchalant one. Him, Berbatov coming out. That team? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like no, like I don't know. This Liverpool team, like they're actually not that great.
I would 100% agree with that. Like if they were, they would at least still be in the Champions League.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Yeah. And I think that's always been the debate, right? And I think, that's normal with the media. Everyone kind of forgets the past and everyone just kind of focuses so much on the present. And
there's so many teams.
This is the best team ever. I'm like,
there's so many teams.
In Barcelona.
I think in the Premier League are better than the Liverpool team. forget like fine. Let's focus on the Premier League on its own. So there's the treble winning team.
Mhm.
That Chelsea, that Mourinho first Chelsea team. Really can't see these guys beating that team, right? We can start
That
trying to
was a
go.
tough team, yeah.
Like the unbeatable team, the Arsenal team, that would be comparable. But it's like, because what does this team do really well? Like, what does this Liverpool team? What do
I
they,
mean,
Yeah,
what do they do
I
really
think
well? They have
personally,
good
the
wing
structure.
backs.
They have a structure.
yeah, I've actually said this before that like the actual team itself, I agree with you. The actual team itself, I would say above average, but not
Yeah,
amazing.
definitely. Yeah.
But they are exceptionally well coached, and I think that's the
Yes.
difference between them and other teams this season. Because in
Yeah.
a lot of games they haven't even really like won by a landslide. Like they've scored a lot of goals. Don't get me wrong. But then there's also been a lot of games where they're just clearly trying to score one goal
Scrape
and set
by.
up shop. And that's not a Jurgen Klopp team, right? That's a
Right.
team where it's just like we've never won the Premier League and we will win it. So yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, and I
You're
think
not
it
that
kind
good.
of goes back to the days of Alex Ferguson. Like there was a lot of questionable names, of players that he bought at the time, but because they were coming into a team with such a good structure, anyone would do well. Like, you know what I mean? Once you can, follow instructions, you can read the game, you would do well. And look at the three strikers. Even in a season where Manchester United has struggled so much to score goals, there was a stat that came out that the combination of Martial, Rashford, and Mason Greenwood have scored just as many goals as the front three of Sané, Salah, and Firmino. So that kind of makes you realize,
Mane?
wait, and this is a season two whereby this has been probably the worst season in Premier League history.
I mean, it's
From a
between
point
this season
standpoint,
and that season that Leicester won, right?
yeah,
It's like you have a whole bunch of teams in transition, and then there's like this one team that's just doing like average stuff, and all of a sudden, oh, they've won all their games this season. Like, but like, I mean, like, what
consistency, yeah.
other year would Man City have dropped that many points, or like Man U? First of all, like, so you know how earlier on I said I can't wait for Messi to retire. This is kind of like how I felt um, for like the 15 years leading up to Ferguson. Remember when Ferguson was playing those games with our hearts? Well, you guys probably loved it. I'm gonna retire this year. Psych. That whole thing. Eventually, I was like, I need this man to leave. So that's the whole thing that we're going through. I'm just gonna go back to the point of being the Liverpool team being exceptionally well coached. So I agree with that 100%. You know what I would say the difference is though is that if you go back to that match, so I'm going to pick just the two teams because like in my opinion, the Arsenal team is going to seem like I'm a fan, so I'm going to just leave them off of it. But the Man U team of '99 and that Chelsea team of I believe it was
2000.
Mourinho's
That
first
was
year, 2004 or something,
yeah,
2008.
04 or
2000.
05.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two teams, right? So those were also exceptionally well coached teams,
Mhm.
but in terms of how they could hurt you, like take that Man U team. Like it's like you're talking about like so you're starting in front to Cole, right, and then whoever else you want to throw in the mix, right? Then you're coming off the bench as the other two. So your top four is like what Cole, York, Solskjaer, and Sheringham.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to go to like your four in the mid because like it's just there is like no holes. And then you go to the back, then you have like what Stam and then Neville and like what Irwin
Have
and
a
these guys.
wall.
Yeah,
yeah.
and then behind him is Schmeichel. I was like,
Mhm.
are you? What are we? What are we talking about? And then the way that team played, and then if you move then to the Chelsea team, you look at that team. It's like it's so I do agree that like they're exceptionally well coached, but I think they're just well coached in a transitionary period, which they're capitalizing on. So all credit to them because you can only play who's in front of you, right? So
Yeah.
like you got to give them credit if they have only dropped like 2 points the entire season, like that's impressive.
Yeah.
But let's talk of the best team ever. I'm like, guys,
They shouldn't
like,
even be in the conversation.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm like, there's
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the best team ever. Like even when you think about that Barcelona team, that was the same generation of the
Yeah,
players that that won the Euro Cup
they wouldn't. This team wouldn't even
and
beat
the
the
World
Madrid
Cup.
team. The Madrid team that
Yeah,
beat Juve in the final. Like we would run through. We ate these guys last year. Yeah, okay. We apparently Ramos intentionally hurt Salah, which depending
yeah.
on who you listen
But
to, that's
but
Man,
that has
whatever.
nothing to do with the game. Bale actually, we had that conversation in the last episode. Was Bale single-handedly destroyed Liverpool?
Off the
Like
bench, off the bench. He didn't even start.
now
he
that's
just showed
squad
up.
depth right there.
He
He
showed
didn't
up
even
and
start.
just.
You guys, you would be okay with canceling the season?
I
I
I
would.
mean, in for the sake of fairness, yeah, I think that's the
Okay.
only way to do it fairly. Obviously, as a football fan, I'm happy that leagues are potentially starting up, like the Bundesliga. I think May, right, is going to
Yeah.
start up. So like, I'm happy about that as a football fan, but I just, in terms of safety and fairness, I should say,
Yeah.
and in fairness to all the teams, I feel like it should have just been like.
Let me ask you guys this though: if you guys were in Liverpool's position, right? If Manu was in Liverpool's position right now, and this whole thing happened, would you be? And I mean Liverpool's position of you have not won the league in 30 years or
Okay.
however many years you've been. I mean the whole
That was a very,
package.
that was a very good, very important point.
Right.
I had my
How
answer
would you
prepared.
feel about the league being carried? I agree with you. It's the most fair thing to do. But like it's like there's certain like if I was a Liverpool fan, I would be losing my mind if somebody
Yeah.
canceled this league. Like
Yeah.
but I do agree with you. It's like I mean, you didn't finish the league. Like anything could still mathematically have happened.
Yeah.
But what do
Okay,
you
well
do?
then, let me put it this way. If I was if we were in Liverpool's position, as in like having never won the league, a part of me would want to be like, no, you should give us the league. But then another part of me wouldn't want to win it like that way.
Right.
And then, another part of me is like, I'm not a small club. Like, we can do this again. So I
Yeah.
feel like anyone saying that, like, oh, yeah, Liverpool should just, be given the league, I feel like that's small club mentality.
That's fair.
So, like, they should be, maybe not by the landslide that they've done this season, but they should be able to do it if they are such a great team, right? They should be able to do it again.
Well, yeah, that was kind of led to the next question in terms of, I know we've talked about that a couple of times. Who is Real Madrid looking at this summer? Obviously, we've talked about, obviously, we know Pogba is a top agenda. Who do you think?
Well, we want to have that conversation.
I guess this would be two questions. This would be two questions. One, how do you think, with everything going on from a financial standpoint, obviously, we know Real Madrid are one of the richest clubs in the world. Do you think they are affected and they could take advantage of this? Or, and who do you think their top priorities are right now?
Okay.
Club.
Great questions. So first of all, from the financial perspective, so going to use this opportunity and this platform as well to dispel a myth. So Real Madrid has a unfound, as of recent history, I'd say a fairly inaccurate reputation of like this Galacticos era, right? Because if you look at over the past 10 years, we have actually spent less money than Barcelona in recruiting players, and our starting lineup has cost less than Barcelona from a wage perspective, right? So Barcelona had a similar to Man U, where you had your class of '92, where Barcelona had like between like 4 years, they graduated Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Fabregas, and a whole bunch of like others.
The Pedros
Yeah, like others include like Pedro, Busquets, like beasts, right? And so they didn't have to actually buy people. But so that was, I'd say that's like the late 2000s, early 2000s. they realize you're not gonna keep recruiting Messi. There's only one Messi. You're not gonna keep
Yeah.
recruiting Messi from Argentina, and you can't keep producing Javis and Iniesta. Like those are once in a lifetime types of talents. So then they went into the market and started buying the Coutinhos, the Alexis Sanchez's, the Suarez's, the Neymars. So and then these are each one of these is like 150 mil each time, right? Madrid, we haven't really had a big ticket item purchase in terms of
It's
one
Ronaldo
player
and Bale.
since Bale. Like,
Yeah.
fine,
Eden Hazard.
Ronaldo was Ronaldo.
What about Eden Hazard? Then?
Oh, before Hazard. So Hazard just came
Okay.
in, right?
Okay,
Before
okay,
him.
fair enough.
Not since Bale, right? So the rest, well, I think the next thing up there is like Luka Modric. Like last season, we did spend a lot of money. We spent like 250 million, right? But we brought in Hazard as well as like three other players. So
Yeah.
it's not that crazy. So from a financial perspective, oh, and also in the past 5 years, Madrid hasn't spent a lot, but we have won a lot, right?
Yeah.
So from a balance sheet perspective, actually pretty good, right? Where it's like it's time to go spend. Like I'm out here being like, how much do they want for Mbappe? Just give it to them. Hit them 300 mil. Give it to them. Like it's over, right?
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna go for Pogba, because I think it's more of a media sensation than it actually is. Because I do think the emergence of so we've got Casemiro, we still have Cruz, right? And then we've got Valverde, Fede Valverde, who's like is a 21-year-old-ish
Yeah.
box-to-box midfielder. Think about him as like, I don't like to draw
Yeah.
these comparisons too early, but he's like a Gerard type of player. I'm not saying he's gonna hit Gerard heights, but
Yeah.
that type of player, and he's young. And so like with the addition of him, I don't really see the need for Pogba with the cost that he's gonna, because Pogba you're not gonna get Pogba for less than like
Less than 100.
150.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Man United would rinse you for that transfer.
You see, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I honestly, I'm okay without Pogba. What I would love to see, which I don't, especially with this lockdown, I don't think that it's gonna happen, is an Mbappe move, which I just feel like Mbappe is gonna end up in Madrid sooner or later.
Yeah.
Might as well start it.
Run.
Might as well start it now. Like I don't know what he's waiting. He's not gonna win the Champions League with PSG. She just come over and start this journey earlier. But from my perspective, I think Pogba. I think it's in Pogba's best interest to stay in Man U. I don't think it's in his interest to come to Madrid at all. First of all, our fan base is not half as loyal as any of the stuff that he's witnessing in England. Like one bad game, you are getting booed. Like you better dye your hair back black and get on that field and start slide tackling players.
Yeah, but I feel like, sorry, if I can just interrupt for a second. I feel
Please.
like with Madrid fans though, anyone going to Madrid knows that about their fan base, right? So it's like if they're getting on your back, it's not necessarily personal. It's because they don't they don't care about who you are. They care about how you're playing. Whereas with like teams like Man United or like, and I'm using that because he plays for Man United. The fan base is generally quite, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say loyal. Generally quite loyal. And so when they are getting on your back, it seems a bit more personal. Like, would you agree with that? At least it seems a bit more personal, and I feel like that's why that, like, look at Jesse Lingard, for example. He gets ripped to shreds, right? Recently just signed up with Mino Raiola, which means he probably wants to leave, right? So, like, but like, if that was in Madrid,
We have so many songs for Jesse Lingard and Arsenal. You don't even. I don't want to start, but like we've got a few.
Yeah.
He was doing
He's
those
not-
dances.
Yeah.
He was scoring against us, and then he started sucking. Anyhow, continue.
Yeah. But like, I feel like if he was in Madrid and he's getting all that shtick, it's not as bad. Like, yeah, it still sucks, but like it's expected because you're expected to perform at a certain level, so it doesn't seem as personal, right? That's how I kind of interpret it.
Yeah, no, I think I would probably
say if you
agree
don't
with
agree.
you. No, I probably agree with you. Like the Madrid fans in the stadium are fickle because I'm I'm not that.
Yeah.
My background is England football, so I know like you're gonna suck at parts of the season if your name is not Ronaldo or Messi, but whatever. Um, so Madrid fans are fickle. My question though is, so this is now I'm really gonna push the cards. Is I actually question Pogba's like ability to be able to sift through that in this, because if my thing with Pogba is when everything is rosy with him, like you put him on the French team and he's just
Mm.
put the ball down, lay a pass, or drop a random left-footed shot and or swing it right and then hit it left in the World Cup final, like it's not an issue. And then the moment he hears one boo, whether it's like founded or not, I question his like actual
Thick skin.
mental strength. You know what I'm saying? In terms of being able
Yeah.
to like withstand certain things. And I think like in England, where they are more loyal, where they would take longer to flip on you. I think he's like better suited for that. Or like I think if it came to Madrid and it was like after like 1 month they start booing and whistling him, which is what will happen if he has a bad month. I, I I'm just I don't ever question his quality. I do
Yeah.
question his ability to rise above. I just don't think he's made of the same metal as like the Ronaldos, the Messis, the Beckhams, anybody who has had to like rise above adversity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Real Madrid will be tough for him. And also the fact that he hasn't played pretty much a whole season. That's the worst time
yeah,
to try to make such a big move
yeah,
to a Real Madrid, a club like
yeah.
Real Madrid. That's not the right time to
Like
do that.
he's coming in here. We're expecting the World Cup Pogba. Like the Madrid fans are not gonna care that you've been injured, not quotes, but like injured for a season. Like we don't care. We were cool with Hazard. We were super patient with him, but we went through a year of like depression, right? Like we lost Ronaldo, replaced him with that clown from
Mariano?
Lyon. Yeah, he came back for number 7. Like, what are you doing with that number? Like, if
Honestly,
somebody gave that to you, you should say no, thank you. I'm good.
Honestly.
No.
Honestly. You know, take like number 56. You take the furthest number from 7, bro.
My man took the number 7, scored a goal too, and his first game back. He was out here like pointing at the number. Next, like 50 games, no goals. I'm like, yeah, obviously. Like, what do we think was gonna happen with Mariano? Ridiculous.
I actually forgot he still played for Madrid. So low-key.
I totally forgot about that actually.
Yeah.
That was like such a long time ago.
Yeah, man.
He's still on our squad. He's still there. He's not number 7,
crazy.
but he's still there. We had a longer like leash for him just because again we were just like, okay, you're gonna come in, we'll give you time to settle and blah blah blah. But the next superstar that comes in, I honestly don't. We're not gonna have that type of patience with them. We're gonna expect them to be like blazing. And how old is Pogba? Is Pogba like 28, 29?
No, he turned
30?
20 this summer.
27, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So he's about to hit his peak.
Yeah.
It's best for him to just stay at Man U, man. Like we will take him if it's available. Don't get that twisted. Like I'm not saying
not available
on our team. I'm not saying that at all. Just so we're clear. But I really do think it's in his best interest to stay in Man U, especially with, as you just mentioned, like you've got the Man U up front never had a problem. I think an out and out like scorer was always an issue because I think Martial and Rashford should just play on the flanks, and you just have like a bona fide like a Harry Kane, Shearer type, somebody who's just your job is to get in the box and put goals away.
Yeah.
And then these guys are still gonna give you the creativity and the goals from the sides where you had the guy in there. And then you guys just needed like your link between the back and the front just didn't exist, and Mourinho kept buying wingers, even though you had so many wingers. But that's a whole other conversation. But I honestly think the best place for Pogba is in Madrid. I mean, in Man U. But if he is available, Madrid will gladly take him off your hands.
Yeah.
We'll sell Cruz. Like, we don't need Cruz.
But hey,
We got
we'll do a
Pogba.
swap.
I don't know about that, man. I
Cash
don't know if
plus,
Chris can survive the intensity right now. But honestly, and that was for me. Obviously, I'm a huge Pogba fan, so I don't want to see Pogba go. I was just more of the camp of, maybe Pogba should go so that way he could, um, you know, have a prosperous end of his career, right? But at the same time, he's won a lot of things. That he's won, the fact that he's won the World Cup, he's won quite a lot of things, even the Europa Cup. So at the end of the day, I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? He's won enough. He can stay and be part of this project. You know what I mean? And I did understand why Pogba would want to leave initially, and that was just because, let's face it, before December, like the team was in shambles. Like, I don't care if your name was Messi.
Oh, they were playing
Ronaldo,
run and shoot.
You couldn't have made anything.
No,
You couldn't
they
have
were
done
playing
anything
run and
better.
shoot.
Yeah,
Run and shoot. Literally, it's like give the
there was
ball to
nothing. There was
Rashford
nothing
and
shooting.
Martial and
If you
hope.
were shooting, would have been better. You
Well,
would have
it
like
was
one
give the
shot
ball to
on goal.
Martial. Yeah, Martial, Rashford, and just hope. That was it. Like, I was like, and then Rashford went down. I was like, oh, whoa.
It was game over at that point. I was like, this is the end of the season. But Bruno came to the rescue, and
Bruno.
and for me,
Bruno was
seeing
the
that
man
change,
randomly.
yeah, and seeing that change and transition, for me, I'm like, why would Pogba doesn't want to leave, right? And I think he never really wanted to leave, but I think it would be like anybody, when you see the situation at hand, a player like Pogba's status, he shouldn't be found in a team like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
people of his caliber are playing in the likes of Barcelona, the Real Madrids, the Liverpools. Yep. So to be playing in a team like that did not make sense. But I think now, like we said, the team is getting a backbone now. Fred is hitting form. McTominay, McSauce, he's doing a great thing. You've got Matic now. I think Matic, we were really hard on him, but I think everybody was being exposed just because of, there was just no support. There was no game plan. There was no support. We had no players that could hold the ball and dictate the play. So I think with this new project, I do feel that Pogba has a bright future at United, and I think the next 2 seasons could be very crucial. But do you think Ole has done a great job so far? And do you think that we could give him another season?
I think he. So if you ask me this again, if you asked me this before he brought in Bruno, so my biggest problem with Ole is last summer, right? And when he let go of who did he let go? He let go of Alexis Sanchez.
Yes,
that was in
Lukaku.
January, or was that earlier? Alexis Sanchez was January.
That was in the summer.
In the summer?
Alexis Sanchez and Lukaku. So I understood letting those two go because, like, I personally, Lukaku was like Moyes. He's like one of those people when Man U recruited him, and as an Arsenal fan, the Arsenal part of me was like, yes, they're taking garbage and not realizing it, right? So when he got rid of Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, he just never would have fit on Man U anyways because he's a winger, and then you guys Mourinho bought him and tried to play him as a right mid or left mid or something, and then a striker. I'm like, anyhow. I thought that was a good call. Where I thought he failed was not bringing in a striker or a creative midfielder in the summer. I don't know why he had to go from like September till December to realize that Rashford's he's not gonna play a full season. He's never plays a full season.
He did try and bring in a creative mid. He did try and bring in Bruno Fernandes in the summer.
In the summer?
First.
He did try?
He tried to bring him in the summer. There was some. I don't know why it didn't happen.
I think it was what they were asking for, and Sporting Lisbon didn't really want to release him for that amount of money. I think that was Yeah, because I think
Okay.
because I remember this dragged on all summer and then
Yeah.
dragged on all Christmas. It was just like, could we just wrap up this chapter? It's either
Hmm.
he comes or he doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was just every day you wake up in the morning, you refresh your phone, and still no word
Yeah.
of Bruno coming in.
I,
I think he
I
tried.
don't know if I don't know if that's an Ole issue or if that's because like I listen to Gary Neville and your ex Man U players seem to like love Ole and hate your management above him. They blame the management for all the transfer failures. I don't know how
Yeah.
it works at Man U. I don't know what the structure is, but I think as a when he has good players, I think they do okay. I don't know why it's taken him like over a year to realize that he needs like the problem with Manu. So first it was the defense, right? Then he went and bolstered up in defense, which was like, okay, that's good. You got like a right back who is just a future goblin, and I don't know his name, but the
Wan
guy you know
Bissaka,
who I'm
Wan
talking about,
Bissaka,
Juan
yeah.
Basaka, yeah, it's like a future goblin. And then you've got the one that looks like Hulk,
Maguire?
not green. Yeah, Maguire. You've got Maguire, right? Um, but the whole time I was like, there was no link between the back and the front, and then there was no striker. Like that was like the biggest problem for Man U this whole season. I don't know why it took him a whole year because those issues have existed since he took over. I don't know why it's taking him this long to address it, but since he's addressed it finally, I do think his player selection is pretty good because the players he goes for, or the players that Manu is rumored to be chasing, is like Jadon Sancho, Haaland,
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes. I honestly, you would expect Bruno Fernandes to be like in the Spanish league. You would
Yeah.
expect him to be in Madrid or Barcelona. I don't know why everybody was sleeping on him. I don't know how he ended up a Manu, but I think when he does get the players he wants, he does a good job. I just don't like how long it takes him to get there, from my
Yeah.
perspective. If
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
I think Josh and I talked about this once as well. Like that, the transfers at Man United have since Fergie retired, um, were down to like the board and like the CEO Ed Woodward, who I think I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's not a football guy. Like I've said this before, he's an investment bank. Think first about that side of it. He's more just thinking like about like the marketing, like with this whole Bruno Fernandes thing, for example. I bet money the first thing they saw was great. We've got another Portuguese player from Sporting Lisbon. He's going to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And that's how they
I
market
see.
it, right?
I
His
see what you're
his
saying.
his primary objective is to make money. So like I think that's where his
That's fine.
his thoughts go first before anything else. And that's why we've had a lot of transfer problems since Fergie retired.
But do you think that that's and not to kind of focus this whole thing on United, but do you think like that's not necessarily Ed Woodward's fault? Do you feel that maybe like I had mentioned before a while ago was I think when Alex Ferguson left, there was that desperation of let's just keep this wheel going. So they got David Moyes, which was not really anyone's fault. We knew Alex Ferguson had handpicked him, so you're not going to say no. And then it felt like the players they got was like, just tell me whoever you need, we'll get it for you. We just want to get to winning. We want to continue this winning streak. And I feel like for a long time, the board just kind of bought whoever the coach said was good, and then it ends up being that whole, like kind of like when you're playing FIFA and it's just like every person that you think is okay, you just buy them for the sake of buying them to fill up a space, to fill up a position. And I think maybe that's why when Ole came in, they kind of were hesitant to just go in and buy who he wanted because they were like, you know what, we got to clean out this garbage. This is, because our team was just a mix of three different managers that didn't know what the hell they were doing, right? And then now it's like, okay, we have somebody that the fans like. He seems to be bringing back that Man United spirit, that culture back into the team. Let's see what happens. Because I think the people that he's bought, the players, like you said, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, James, And
He
now,
bought James. He actually
no,
bought
James,
him.
yeah, in the summer.
They didn't
That
just
was our
he
first
didn't just
signing.
come through the
No, it
system.
was our first
Oh
two.
yeah,
Actually,
paid for
James
him.
was our first signing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he still has a lot of development, but it
Yeah,
shows
he's a
that he was
kid.
bringing a lot of players with that character. You know, they were
Yeah.
actually trying to play for the badge. So I don't know. I think, like, what do you think on that? Do you feel that that's Ole's fault, or do you feel that the board was kind of
Yo,
hesitant to trust him?
honestly, man, like my opinion is that Ole was going to be difficult for him to flip things around in a year because like to go from I just didn't understand. So at first it was funny and like I had a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna be very frank. Um, for like the Moyes thing, I was like, okay, fine, we can bridge the gap, blah blah blah. Like I don't know why Fergie handpicked Moyes. It's like okay, he's kept Everton in the top 10 for the past like 10 years, which I don't know why Everton would not be top 10 in the past 10 years in the Premier League. Anyhow, Moyes came and then he started giving you like mid-table results, which was that's what he knows how to do. That's what he does. So when they went from Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho, and like the purchase of Di Maria from Madrid for like all that money, and like I'm like Di Maria he's a really good player, but he's
Yeah,
not a
that
franchise
good.
player. Like he's not a player you buy and like this is the new
A
Man U number
franchise,
7,
yeah.
right? Um, So yeah, I think Solskjaer it's gonna be yeah I kind of see your point. I see both points really because it's like I can kind of see the point of like the board probably was just doling out so much money because I think I saw some stat where Man U spent the most money in the past 10 years in recruitment. Don't quote me
No,
on that. I need to look that up.
I think that's Man City. I think
No,
they've
but
spent over $1 billion.
Man City like they don't really count like they. I don't know. They just like,
Because they've won stuff.
oh,
Though.
the FIFA rules say you can't spend more money than you actually need. Oh, look at that. Emirates just gave us a check of $500 million in sponsorship. I'm like, but isn't aren't you owned by Emirates also? Like what?
Yeah.
Um, but I do see both points. I think honestly I think Ole just I hate to say this, but I think he probably needs a bit more time where the board actually backs him the same way that they have backed the other managers before him. Because I do feel like there is a gap between, like, if you're going to spend like 100 plus million on Di Maria, I don't know why. I don't know what Lisbon was asking for Bruno, but the impact he's had, and if you just brought him in the beginning of the season, and how much he like completes the team. It's not that he's a good player. He's a really good player in his role, but he's not like a Zidane yet, anyways, right? It's more just like you're missing this one piece and you add it, and the whole picture changes. And I
Yeah,
don't know why he couldn't get that done
that's
earlier. I think
exactly what happened. That's
I
exactly what
will.
happened.
I will say the reason why I disagree with you, Josh, with the point you made, is because, like, for example, so okay, Louis Van Gaal and Mourinho, Champions League winning managers, both very well established.
Yeah,
They have a track record of success, so you have to back them. You do, and they did win trophies, right? Van Gaal won the FA Cup. Mourinho somehow
the
finished second.
Europa Cup.
The young
They won the Europa
defense,
Cup though.
and
and finished
and won
second.
the Europa League and the Carabao Cup as well, I think. So they did win trophies with the players that they bought, but with Moyes and Solskjaer, Moyes was an established manager, but he hadn't really won anything. And Solskjaer was managing in like Norway or something, right? And got relegated with Cardiff. So to those two managers, first of all, you're not like if I was in that position, I wouldn't exactly be like, here you go, here's 200 mil, do what you want, right?
Fair.
In the first transfer window we had post Alex Ferguson, Moyes wanted to get Fellaini in the summer.
Fellaini, I remember that.
Yep, he wanted to get Fellaini. Fellaini had a buyout clause that expired, I think, on the beginning of July or something, or end of July or something like that. And we could have signed him for, I think, 15 million with that buyout clause. The board opted against it, and then we didn't sign anyone until deadline day, when we signed Fellaini for like 28 million. Right?
Yeah, I remember that.
So, you see what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
it's obvious we wanted Fellaini. Like, don't get me wrong, he was never going to be the missing piece that brought us back to the glory days or made us continue or whatever. But, like, that was a target, and we wanted him. We ended up getting him, but paid 13 million more than we should have. So that was just a stupid decision. That's why I think, and it's stuff like that. It just makes me think the board was just messing around. Honestly, like they didn't know what they were doing post Fergie because they didn't necessarily have to. I guess
He did everything.
you know. And
Right.
don't forget, Ed Woodward took that role after Fergie retired. Like he wasn't in that role before Alex Ferguson, right?
Right.
So it was completely new to him, and so like I've been harsh in the past. I will for this. I'll try and cut him a bit of slack. Not that he cares anyway. He was new to the role, and like I think when Van Gaal and Mourinho came in, he was just like, okay, let's loosen the purse strings a bit because these guys are going to take us back to the top.
Yeah.
Obviously, that didn't happen, and we recruited horribly. But I think it was more a case of them just not knowing what they were doing, to be perfectly honest with you, than actually the managers. Like, even Mourinho had problems with...
Yeah, Mourinho had loads of problems.
He has problems with everyone, but, like, in this instance, I actually don't think he was in the wrong. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's more of a systemic problem, though, in football, like, management. So not the coaches, managers level, like the actual front office management in general, because I feel like it's a general trend that like happens, right? So look at Barcelona, for example, right? Before their current manager, like their current president and whatnot, they went through a whole era of like actually, so they went through a period where they, you know, like the total football and blah blah blah. Then they had the recruitment, and then they ended up with this whole era. Then they have a change of presidents, or just failing to realize like what is actually responsible for your level of success, right? Like in Barcelona's era, it was a total football mentality, but it was really like, so there was the Dutch guy who for some reason I can't remember his name right now, but like
Cruyff?
the king of total Cruyff, yeah, Cruyff, who Guardiola studied under, right? Then Guardiola becomes the man, and then he adopts the total football mentality, but then he also has, again, like Messi, Iniesta, and Xavi, which is like this perfect triangle to just play total football around. But then Barcelona started to believe that, like, oh, like La Masia is just gonna produce these gems nonstop, and didn't realize that like you need to sort of change your model of operation as you go along in response to what you have available. Same thing with Man U. It's like it just seemed like Man U had no plan for after Fergie, in the same way that like Arsenal had no plan for when Wenger started to suck. You know, like it just seems like the same type of like where it's just like they get to the end and it's like, oh my God, we never thought this day would come. Like Fergie was there for what, like 27 something years.
Yeah,
the man said he was going to retire in like 2007. Like I legitimately was waiting for that day, and then the day comes and it's just like, oh, I'm not retiring this season.
like you thought.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when he eventually retired, it's like, did they not know? Did they not have a succession plan? Like the method is not to have him handpick the next manager who he's never worked with, or like he's just observed from afar. And it becomes the same thing. It's the same thing with Liverpool right now. Like, yeah, they have a great thing going. The real test is when Klopp leaves. When Klopp leaves, does Liverpool go on another 30-year span without winning?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like these moments where it's like, I don't know, man. But I do think, I agree with really both of you. But I think it's just a matter of like, I think it's a problem that's happening across the board. Like Madrid, we just we're just gonna buy victories, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what we're gonna do. Like that's we are the America of soccer.
It's
like
been an effective tactic, to be fair. So, especially the last
Worked out.
4 years, 5 years. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Then I as a Arsenal fan,
hmm
do you think that Wenger actually started to suck, or like and I'm asking you this in hindsight,
hmm
you know, with the knowledge that Unai Emery is going to be the next Arsenal manager, does Wenger still suck? Finishing what was the worst position he finished? Do you know?
Definitely. Well, whatever we're tracking to finish like this year under Unai Emery would have been the worst.
Oh,
But the worst
100%.
position we finished under Wenger. Wenger, I think we finished. I think our worst position was sixth under Wenger.
Yeah.
Um, which, as far as I've been supporting Arsenal, that is the worst position we finished in. Um, and in terms of did I actually agree that Wenger? So Wenger, in my now, I was like, I'm a bit on the ruthless side of the Arsenal fans
Mm.
spectrum. So Wenger has sucked for me from like 2000. The transfer window where I think it might have been 2011. It was a transfer window where literally like in the last 24 hours of the transfer deadline, we sold Nasri. Like we got rid of like I think it was like Nasri, Fabregas, and
Yeah, this is
Song or something.
2011. This was
Yeah.
2011,
2011,
yeah.
and then we got like Benayoun. Like we just got garbage. Like I
And
was, and then
you guys sold them to big teams because Nazi
Yeah.
yeah,
went to City,
big
Fab
teams,
went
but
to
but
what's his
for
name?
cheap.
Barcelona.
Chelsea.
Big teams, but for really
Fabregas went to
cheap.
Barcelona.
Yeah,
Fabregas went to Barcelona. Nasri went to City. Song went to
yeah.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
But this all happened. It was like one announcement. Like I woke up and it was just like Fabregas, Song, and Nasri are gone, and you got Benayoun. I can't remember the other trash we got, but garbage, right? So Wenger had been doing this thing where it was great for the shareholders because it would finish top four. Because let's be real, top four 10 years ago in England as a manager of Arsenal was not that difficult to achieve because it's really just like Man U, right? Then Chelsea showed up in there, and then so it became Man U Chelsea. So we went from bona fide second to battle for third, when we're sort of banging with Tottenham for fourth, right? And then it was just like, okay, like this is only going downhill. Every year we sell our best player. Oh, and then the season after that, he sold Van Persie. And then it was just like, okay, like we're actually done. Like this is so every year we sell our best players and replace them with trash. So to me, Wenger deviated from the mentality that he had originally brought in because we were not recruiting top talent for good prices anymore. What we were recruiting was just garbage talent for very average prices. And it was just a matter of time until the results started to show up. So to me, Emery's Wenger just got out before. Like I don't think we would have finished any worse if Wenger was there versus Emery in the last season. I honestly
Really?
think it's the same thing. I just feel like Wenger just left before the final trash, and Emery like he sold who he could sell and he could bring in whoever he could bring. Now I did not agree with Emery being the pick, right? At all. I it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like this guy is from Sevilla. So forget this PSG BS because everybody's gonna win with PSG.
Yeah.
As a La Liga fan, I'm like, this guy finished like, yeah, he won Europa League with Sevilla. Like, you should be able to win the Europa League with Sevilla. Like, this is not. He didn't do anything special. Comes to Arsenal and he's trying to like implement some total football mentality, and he's buying like David Luiz at the back. I was like,
Yeah,
this
man.
guy doesn't. You
Well-
can't buy a Porsche and you can't buy a Toyota and expect it to drive as a Porsche. Like you can't play total football if you don't have the footballers that are comfortable on the ball.
I can accomplish it. Yeah.
Pretty simple.
So what
But
do you
that's my
so
opinion.
Do you feel more satisfied with who you currently have, or do you feel this is a transition?
I think it's a transition. Arteta, it's his first managerial job, so like I honestly have no opinion. I like Arteta just because he seems cool and he scored a few deadly goals for Arsenal, especially against Man
Yeah.
City way back in the day. But I think it's a transition. I honestly, I think we just need I think we need a whole. I think Arsenal is like 5 years away from being competitive again. I think
Yeah.
with the current squad, I don't think there's anything that's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And I think we need a whole reset. Like our top player is 31, and we're gonna start like giving him 1 year contract, so he's obviously gonna leave.
Yeah.
I think it's bleak for the next. I think the immediate future is dark, but I do think if we make the right moves now, we could plan for the future. I like the young kids that are coming up, Sacco and whatnot. Like they're all pretty good.
Yeah. Sacco, Houston is pretty.
Martinelli.
Yeah.
They've got a few kids, but like I don't want to be in the Chelsea bandwagon of like, yeah, we have like 10, 18-year-olds. They're going to be hopefully good in 2025. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone, also thanks for listening. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and like us on Instagram and Twitter. CJ Socials 10 on Instagram and CJ Socials on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitter. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
that's good. Till
Yes.
then, definitely continue to stay safe, and yeah, it looks like we'll be enjoying the sunshine soon. So
Yes.
yeah. Okay. All right. Take care, guys.